study of Masonry deals with how to manage people, how to manage all the communication skills, government, banking, numerology, worldwide. It doesn't matter what your language is, all world leaders belong to the Masonic Order, and they act together.
I'm Justin Gallivan, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Chemistry here at Emory University. And the major focus of our lab is trying to reprogram organisms to do new tasks. Okay, so what does that mean? What kind of organisms? Well, the one that we prefer to work with is a bacterium called E. coli, which is shown right here. So why do we want to work with these bugs? Why do we want to get them to do new stuff? Well, it turns out for some single-cell organisms, of which there are millions on this plate, these guys can do some fantastic things. These organisms not only make small molecules, they talk to one another using small molecules as their language. Okay? And these organisms are smart. They can move towards things they like and away from things they don't. So these are pretty complicated behaviors, all carried out by single-celled organisms. How do they know how to do it? Well, they're actually programmed to do this, and the way that they're programmed to do these behaviors involves their DNA. Okay, so within their genome, there are snippets of DNA that encode proteins that allow these cells to do these high-level tasks. So what we're interested in doing is developing ways to turn on or turn off different genes in this organism in order to get them to do tasks when and how we want them to. So what we're trying to do is develop bacteria that can actually recognize those molecules, seek them out, and then ultimately destroy them. Seek them out, and then ultimately destroy them. And the way that we do that is by developing snippets of genes called riboswitches, which are made of RNA. RNA is a molecule that's found in you, it's found in me. And RNA does a lot of fascinating things, but one of the things that it can do very, very well is that molecules can recognize other molecules, essentially giving a bear hug to other molecules. Okay? So what we're doing in the lab is we are taking RNA molecules that can bind to other molecules. These are molecules called aptamers, and we convert them into some sort of switch, which is called a riboswitch. So when the RNA grabs onto a molecule, it does something. And what it does is it typically turns on or turns off expression of a gene in a cell. And if you can turn on and turn off expression of genes, you can really control how cells behave. And that's ultimately what ties all of the work in our lab together. Seek them out and then ultimately destroy them. Seek them out and then ultimately destroy them.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you see here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. We'll eliminate this behavior. We'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here. and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In contrast, in marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing. And I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. Essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. Essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. Exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. And we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
For millions of years, this lake thrived. But now it is dying. Poisoned by humans who put themselves above nature. It's time to stop the killing. It's time to heal our planet. It's time to remove your footprint. Agenda 21 is coming soon.